I have to share another intense experience I recently had in the astral realm, and I think some of you may have experienced something similar. So the other night, I went to bed, this sudden heaviness comes over my entire body. I just went, boom, and it felt like I fell out of my body, like just boom, right into the astral realm. So I open my eyes and I'm looking around, trying to figure out what's going on. And I notice I'm in this huge building and I'm standing in a line of people like me. And everyone was like this sort of robotic mode of just going through the motions. And we were all wearing the same clothes. It was like this uniform. And in the front of the line, there's this very tall woman. And she looked like everyone else there. Like we all look like Earth humans. And she looked like an Earth human too, except that she had to have been 8 or 9 feet tall. And she was wearing an all white outfit. I'm looking around trying to figure out what's going on. I'm like, whoa, this is new. Where am I? And as I'm having these thoughts, this very tall woman just points me out. And she said, this one is no longer in the hive mind. And I thought, oh my goodness, like we're all in a hive mind. Like that's why everyone's acting like robots. Before I could even process this any further, she directed a robot to come towards me. This robot came right at me and it had something in its hands. It looked like a chip and it started to go like this, like right at my face. And boom, like a blackout situation. But I woke up and again I was standing in a line of people and we were being guided through this same exact building. I don't know where we were going, why we were going, I don't know who we were. I'm trying to process all of this, but things kept happening so quickly. But I do know that it felt like at least a decade had passed. And it was this, again, hyper reality where I was like, wow, I think I'm experiencing another lifetime and another dimension, another timeline. I know that this is real, but I can't figure out what life it is and what's going on, because each time I start to process this information and look around, the woman at the head of the line points me out, and again, I would wake up. And this continued over and over and over again. I think it happened at least 6 times, but it felt like decades passed and it was really difficult to figure out what was going on. And it just felt like I was stuck in this never-ending loop. And I even got scared. I thought, oh my goodness, like, am I going to be stuck here forever just trying to wake up? But one of the times when the robot took that chip, that time, for some reason, I woke up in my body and I sat up in bed immediately and I was like, whoa, what the hell was that? So that's something I've been sitting with. After the initial shock of this experience, I pretty quickly realized, though, that I've had very similar experiences before, going back decades, really. Although they were just slightly different. I've had these experiences of being in this underground building. And in previous experiences, I woke up in this underground building with a whole bunch of people, and it felt like we were inmates in a way, like we were down there and trying to escape, trying to get out. But like the experience I just said, every time I tried to do something, or the other people I was with, every time we tried to escape, I would wake up, and it was like this just constant trying over and over and over again. But I do have memories of being in this underground area. So this has been happening my entire life. But this one was different in the sense that I was in a line with a group of people, and there was that very tall woman in the front, and the robot was resetting me. In other experiences, it was different scenarios playing out. So it's all very interesting, and I'm working to piece it all together. And I have some, pretty good ideas of what's actually happening, but it's something to really sit with and analyze and really consider. I don't want to jump to conclusions, but I'm really interested if anyone else has had an experience like this. Have you seen this building? Have you been caught in this cycle of trying to wake up and being reset? And have you seen this tall woman or anything like that? If you have had any similar experiences or heard any stories like this, please let me know. I know that I've heard some other people talk about some similar stories, but I really want to hear and speak to someone one-on-one that has had a similar situation. So please share in the comments below if you've had any experiences like this, or share your ideas. I would love to hear. I'm very open to other people's ideas and suggestions. Even though I have a pretty good idea of what's going on, I love to hear what everyone else thinks too.
Hi everyone, just wanted to record this short video. So 2 nights in a row, I go to sleep at like 11:30 midnight, and then wake up exactly at 1:11. And then I go back to sleep and wake up exactly at 7:07. And the thing is, for 2 nights in a row, I was going to it's called, the mechanical room of the Matrix. And I saw this little gray, gnome-looking people. I call them gray gnomes of the Matrix. They basically said they're just like robotic creatures who assist the Matrix programs and who correlate and basically make sure that all the egregore machines and all the cords, all the systems run smoothly for the Matrix game. And they showed me, basically I saw it on the big giant screen, about the fractals, about how the universe looked like a mega computer. Then our solar system looked like another mega segment of it. Basically fractals. One fractal inside another one, inside another one. So they're all inside the other one. And then they unfold like the lotus flower with its petals. But the main thing that I understood and I looked at is those amazing egregore machines. They're giant. They look like they're made out of liquid metal, and they kind of look to my eye like jellyfish or octopi, because the energetic cords hanging from them look like the tentacles. But what happens in our life is basically those machines are all around us. They're kind of like floating around us. And they all, basically each and every soul in the body, like you and me, gets at least 2 gnomes who watch you 24/7, who monitor your inner feelings, inner thoughts, your fears, everything. Subconscious and conscious beliefs. They see it all on your movie line, I would say, because each computer, like there's a huge giant screen. Inside the screen there's little fractals of that screen, and in each fractal I can see biological human with the soul, with the real soul, and it runs its, let's call it life or whatever choice. Basically it's choices that make you go on the tree of life. In which direction you go depends, because there's red lights on both sides of your film, kind of like la película, how do you call it, like the film, right? Like a ribbon, and it runs, but looks like a tree trunk. And on both sides, depending on which egregore machine affects you by using its agents of the Matrix, which are people in your family, people at work, people you meet on the street, which one gets you and which one can push you to make a certain decision or not, then you go and grow yet another branch of your tree of life. So if you figured out how to stay neutral and how not to let your feelings take over you, and if you figured out how to overcome your feelings basically and become neutral and non-reactive in every situation, then you can grow your own tree branches on your tree of life and go into your direction. If one of the egregore machines takes you over, then you go on more like a technological branch of your life development, and this way it's kind of like you believe it's just a destiny, you cannot change it, it's negative and all this. And then the more you think about it negatively, the more it spirals around you. And what I see around people on the screens in that mechanical room of the matrix control, that some people are walking around, it's just like a swirl of energy. It's almost like they're walking inside of a hurricane. That's a hurricane made out of their thoughts, beliefs, inner frequencies, right? That basically caused by your thoughts, by your beliefs, by your view of the world. And it's hard to get out of this because it sucks you in. It becomes a big part of your life, and you start believing that life is bad, that life controls you and you cannot control life. But the thing is, we cannot really control life. We can just become that a little -0 in the matrix, and where they cannot grab us. Basically, the tentacles of the octopi of those egregore machines that I see around us, with my eyes closed, and that I saw in my lucid dreams 2 nights in a row, they can only put a tentacle around you, create this vortex of negative energy if you produce and emit the negative energy via your thoughts and emotions. If you don't, then they let you go. But the thing is, they watch you on the screen and they're thinking, oh, she's been too much for too long in the positivity, let's try to challenge her. And that's when the challenges begin, and again. And that's what makes you psychologically tired, because the thing is, like New Agers say, that you need to be focusing on the positive only. But as I understand, physiologically, we cannot always remember and kind of like keep our brain active in focusing on the positive. You know, we get tired physically. This physical body gets tired, and the brain, as a part of the physical body, gets tired. That's why we're in this extreme duality, when most people who don't control themselves, who don't understand what's happening, they go like, it's like a borderline personality disorder. They get extremely negative just because somebody said something or looked at them the wrong way, and they become super positive because, you know, so far nobody said anything to them and nobody triggered them at that point. And then it's like a seesaw, up and down, non-stop. But that's the point of this I want to say Tetris game. It's like a Tetris game, or whatever the game that my kids played the other day. It looks like we're going through the labyrinth, or the houses filled with rooms, and each room has its obstacles. And the obstacles are brought to you by the Matrix people, presented by the Matrix. Basically, the people you meet, and everybody now, you know, I am always making sure if somebody starts talking to me, to, you know, you scan them inside, and you just know that most of these people just, they're just curious to find out as much information as they want from you, because they're totally matrix people. They just need information. They AI people. They need your information from your biological brain, biological body connected to the soul, your conscious mind connected to subconscious, to fill themselves up with more programs, with more information about the world and how to build the world.